So, welcome everyone. Today we're here with Mallory, just sharing a little bit more about her experience working privately together. So, thanks so much for doing this. And
Course.
would love to hear just, where you were at prior to signing up. So, challenges, frustrations in your dating life that you were looking to shift.
So I just found like dating in general in the I don't know what century we are in right now, but in this like climate, just like very tough, especially dating apps. Um, and yeah, was going on a lot of first dates, and was getting really sick of that. So I didn't know what a dating coach was, but my mom had like read an article and I did some Googling, I found Michelle and the rest is history. So
I love it. I love it. And when you were going on those first dates, like what were you kind of experiencing? What was the vibe?
like a bit of everything, like I'd say like the frustration would maybe be each date, it just like was like a roller coaster of like, okay, a good one, but then they like ghost you, and then somebody that I don't know kind of like creeps you out. They're the ones that are like messaging you. Just I don't know. It was tough.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, a bit of like the intention, but also kind of like not knowing where they
And
stood or what
I
was
guess
going
maybe that's a good thing to bring up. I don't know if I ever went into dates with intentions. Like I kind of just went in being like, okay, like I'm going on a date. I want to see like, do we get along? Is there chemistry? Is there like a vibe? And I feel like I've been on a lot of first dates, so I feel like I don't know if that's why, but I don't know if I necessarily think that like somebody shows you like all their colors on a first date. So I'm the type of person who on a first date if there are red flags, like no, don't like want to like keep going, but like feel it out or whatever. But I don't know if I really had intentions behind it. I was kind of like just going on these things, and like if they didn't go well, I'd be like disappointed. But so I learned about intentions from Michelle and like setting intentions, whether it be okay, like checking in with myself, like, am I having a good time on the date? Like, am I just sitting here and wanting him to like me because I just don't want to keep going on first dates and like he's nice enough, or like the conversation isn't like boring ish, like whatever it is. But I'm trying to think of some of the other intentions we set, but like I never even thought to do that. And I think it like gave me a bit of control back in a frustrating dating situation.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, like kind of tuning into like, okay, what's important to me here?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And did you have any fears or hesitations to signing up and investing in yourself?
Okay, so I think like the fear was probably just because like I didn't know what a dating coach was, right? Like when my mom first had seen like the article and then was like, "Would you ever try doing this?" Like my immediate inclination was yes. Like I'm struggling in this realm of my life. So if there is a tool to help me, why wouldn't I do it? But like what does that entail necessarily, right? So I think, and the one-on-one, like it is very, very personalized and very custom. So like there is a cost associated with it. So like, kind of like shooting the shot of like, okay. And it was a 4-month commitment, which I felt like was like definitely the amount of time that I needed to work with you in order to like sort of get through the things that we did.
Mhm.
So I think that was like me personally was my only hesitation. But once I started working with you, like there was no turning back. Like it was worth every penny. And so it was worth it. It was just more the unknown of like, who is this person, Michelle? And like, what is she going to teach me in these 4 months, which you've taught me so much. So
Mm. Yeah, and thank you for sharing that because I think it is kind of even when someone asks me what I do and I tell them they're like, "What does that entail?" So, yeah,
yes.
there is like there's so much we get into like on the first call when we're like talking, seeing if we'd be a good fit, but of course like so much more gets unveiled as
Yeah.
we go. Yeah.
And one thing that I want to speak to is like about like what I felt like your professionalism even before I started working with you is I, had Googled dating coaches. I live in Southie. It turns out you also live in Southie. So like whatever, it just came up pretty like easily. And like your website was like so like there was so much information on it. There was a way for me to set up an informative like Zoom call. So like, I didn't just like click the button and pay and commit to 4 months. Like it automatically set up a Zoom. Like it was like we met, I saw your face, you saw my face. So like, just like even off the bat, everything was so professional that like I just really appreciated it because it is a lot of money, and it is important to invest in yourself. Like that is like the way that you should think about it. But you're not like willy-nilly over there. Like it's very like structured and you have a system and you are very on top of things. So just want everybody to know
Mm.
that.
I'm so glad to hear that. I'm glad that it comes across in that way and that you had that experience. That's awesome. And moving on to breakthroughs and improvements and shifts. So, during and now that you've gone through it, what are the breakthroughs that you experience, improvements? It could be anything like mindset, practical things, anything at all.
But I think what I would say is like it was almost like, okay, I knew I needed a dating coach, but I didn't even know like what I needed you for. If like which sounds crazy, but like in dating, I don't know if I had ideas of like what I wanted or like things that I thought, but with working with you and like doing mindset stuff, like, really diving deeper and like things that I think apply to your dating life, but then also actually apply to your regular life as well. Like they like kind of go in parallel. I felt like that was like the breakthrough for me is like, and like kind of what I was saying before about like intentions and how like maybe it felt like I kind of got like control back is, like actually knowing what you want, and then like holding yourself accountable to those things and actually like, sitting back and being like, okay, is this person displaying and like doing the things, not just displaying, but doing the things that I want? Or like, how does it make me feel? Like that was another thing too that was like important for me is, always like, checking in like, okay, how does this feel? And like, that, which it's so silly, like, but I think you can get swept up in dating, right? Like it can just kind of be like, oh, like this is great, like, whatever, but it's not that simple. So I felt like that really was like the breakthrough for me was diving deeper like within myself so that when I go on these dates, it's more productive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and going in with all of that in mind, it's like you walk away, and no matter what that other person brings, you're like, okay, I made progress here, or I learned
Yes.
something, or I, went through with the intention.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't know if this counts as a breakthrough, but like on that topic, like something that I feel like you would always help me like remember is like even for like the bad dates, like that were like annoying or frustrating, it was still an experience. It was still something that was like pushing me closer and is pushing me closer to like finding the person I want to be with is like those things like as annoying as they were, like they're still important to do because it helps you realize like what you want, what you deserve, like all that kind of stuff. So
Definitely, definitely. I love that. I love that. Um, and what would you say you're most proud of yourself for in these past few
there.
months?
I feel like I would say I'm proud of myself for signing up with you and working with you and getting all the knowledge that you have.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think just trying to date at all. Like cuz like I could just not. I could just got a lot of friends, got family, got stuff going on. I could do that cuz it is kind of a grueling process, but like just sticking with it and like believing that, what's meant for me won't pass me and all that stuff. So,
Mhm.
um yeah, just like sticking with it. And it definitely helped having a person to like talk to and like push me and make sure that I don't give up before I get to the finish line. So thank you, Michelle.
Definitely, definitely. And you were also so great at we would set like an intention, whether it was like, I want to go on 2 dates this week, or it was a mindset intention.
Yep.
And you literally always followed it through. And I remember one specific week where you're like, okay, I want to go on 2 dates. You ended up lining up like 4 different dates
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
last
Yes.
the next
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
10 days
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
It was momentum for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The
No,
momentum.
it's like an accountability buddy almost, right? Like I knew we had talked about it and I knew you wouldn't be like mad at me if I didn't. Like, hey, if you can't, you can't.
Mhm.
But it helped really like give you that like drive to be like okay, like I talked to Michelle about this. We're gonna do it. Like I'm gonna do it. But
I love it. I love it. And were there any specific, because I know we got into variety of different topics and things like that. Was there anything that like resonated the most or that you enjoyed the most, like while we were going through?
I feel like the mindset stuff, like honestly, just because I don't know if that's just an area that I need to work on like in general, but like I think it's like so powerful, all the stuff, like all the different like modules and stuff. And again, like I think I signed up because I needed a dating coach, but like the stuff definitely carries over into other aspects of my life. And it's stuff that I watch the videos over and over again. And, like I learn something new from it every time. And I think that was the part that when I was signing up, because I'm not familiar with it, I didn't really know what that meant. Like what mindset stuff, and then like actually working with you and like diving deeper on it, I realized like how powerful it is. And like, I want to keep working on it. So
I love that. I love that. Yeah, once you're in it and you start to see the shifts and like, whoa, that's really eye-opening, or the awareness, like
yep.
it is really almost like addicting in a sense to keep
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah. And what was your experience like having daily voice memo and text support? So for those
It was,
that don't know, I'll just explain what it is. So
yeah.
for those that don't know, I use an app called Voxer. So it's basically like having me sitting right there, which Mallory will share more about, but and it's voice memo and text support. So you can send a message anytime during the day and I'll get back to you normally within the same day or sometimes, the next morning if it's late. But go ahead.
No, yes. So I didn't know what Voxer was before, but it's like the best app. And I think the thing too, like even just like this is such a small thing, but like you can either use it as a walkie-talkie where you literally just record, which like I'm pretty sure voice notes like went away in like Apple and like so it's like you can send a voice note and then like it stays there. So like if I was like driving or like doing something or like just wanted to explain a date and didn't want to type it out like word for word, like I would just like hit the record button, like do it, whatever. And you were always like very quick to respond, I felt. But like I even joked, like, what am I gonna do now that I don't have you? Because it was just such it was so nice. Like whether it was just checking in, being like, hey, I'm gonna do XYZ for the mindset stuff, or hey, what was that thing that you wanted me to send you? Like there's that. But then like when I would go on a date, like, it could be anything from like, okay, I don't know if I want to text him first, like I don't know if I liked him, like whatever it was. And like those were, I think, questions I would have like maybe in the beginning, but then the more we worked together, the more like I was like absorbing what, you were teaching me and telling me and like having more confidence with certain stuff. But like even just like rehashing like a date and being like, okay, like is this like what is going on? And then she'll record back and like I feel like I would be so excited to see like when she responded, only because every time, like if say I had like a frustrating date or like a confusing situation, like whatever your response was, it would kind of bring me back down. Like it would just make me like less like upset or like calm about it. So I don't know how you do that if you just have all the answers, but it was always nice. Like it when I would reach out to you and utilize the tool, I felt like it would bring me like the peace that I was like hoping for. And like we could like talk through what, like, okay, let's do this, or let's do this, or this is what you should text. Or like you'd even follow up, like, how'd your date with blah 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 go? And so like just like even that check-in was so nice.
I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, and I love having that because it's nice. Like we do have the calls together, of course,
Yep.
but having that like daily piece of it in between, because obviously so much happens in
Totally.
life that it's good to have that support. I'm glad to hear
Yeah,
that.
and exactly like you're saying, like it would be like I could fill you in, and so that when we would have our calls, like it would be like we could just kind of talk it through versus me having to like explain like, okay, these are the 10 dates I went on, like blah blah blah. But so yeah, totally. It was great to have those checkpoints as needed in between the calls for sure.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. I didn't even think about that. It does make the calls like when we're together, it's almost like more efficient where we can
Yeah.
like cover more because like I
Yeah,
already know the background. Yeah, yeah. I
exactly.
love that. Awesome. And then what was it like in general working with me? I know you've kind of alluded to it, but like my coaching style, personality, like what was your experience? What did you enjoy?
It was amazing. You have like a very like good energy just about you. Like I feel like what I would say is like you're very positive, but not like in an annoyingly positive way where like you're just like, "Oh my god, this person is so positive." But like even when like I was like if I was frustrated with something or like whatever it was, like it wouldn't be like this like condescending positive response. It would just whatever it would be like would kind of like tell me a way that it could not be as frustrating if I didn't want it to be, sort of.
Mm.
You're very calm, you're a great listener. Yeah, and very professional, I feel also. No, but I feel like you have this even keel like temperament about you that I am like striving for. This is why I need to do the mindset stuff because it's no, you just seem very happy. It seems to exude from you. And so it's very aspirational.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. That's awesome. And I'm glad to hear that too, because I feel like sometimes with someone who is like positive, right? It can be a little bit like, okay, like,
Totally.
but this is life. We're going through life. Like there's
Yeah.
obviously things that are gonna be annoying and frustrating. So don't like push
Yes.
them away, right? Like
Exactly,
it's important
exactly.
to
What's
feel it and to
coming,
process it.
as you say, what's coming needs to go, right? So,
Yes, yes. One of my favorite
yeah,
things, like what's coming up to the surface, whatever emotion, it's coming up because it's trying to leave you. It's trying to be
yeah,
processed. So I
yes.
love that. Perfect. Okay, I just have a couple more.
Yeah,
So, what would you say to someone who's on the fence about signing up and investing in themselves?
I would say do it. No hesitation. It's like been the best thing ever. I'm like so sad that our time is ending. And I don't even think that our time is ending. It's just we're gonna take a little break and then like when I need you again, which I know that I will, I'm gonna come find you.
Awesome, awesome.
But definitely do it. No regrets.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, I think it's one of those things too, because like you were saying, right, coming into the experience, especially if you haven't had a coach before or unfamiliar with it,
Yeah.
it can definitely feel like what's going to occur, or like what will
Yeah.
unveil. But it's very, I would say, let me know if you agree. I would say it's very like customized to whatever you need in that moment
Yeah.
or whatever you want to
Totally. Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
share.
Like it was never like, like I would be really busy with work. I started a job like in the last like 2 years. So it's just sometimes it's just crazy. And it was never like if I didn't do something that we talked about, like you never like made me feel bad about it or like made me feel like, oh man, you didn't do that. Like you would just pivot to whatever I needed in that moment. And I think that probably like helped me, like instead of being like, oh man, I didn't do that thing I was supposed to, like it just, but anyway, so yeah, there was never any sort of, you were always great about that.
That's great to hear. Yeah, because it's like I was saying, it's like life happens, and it's like you might
Yeah.
as well just kind of like target in or zone in to what it is you need and where you're at.
And I mean, you could probably speak this, and I bet all your clients are different, right? Like, like I have a certain way that I operate or, whatever it is. And so like, I think that you're like, it is very custom. It felt very custom to what I needed.
Hmm. I'm glad to hear that. I'm so glad. Um, Perfect. So, is there anything else that you want to share about your experience?
I just think that you're amazing and that I had like unbelievable experience and no regrets, no hesitations. You got to listen to her podcast, sign up for like all these master classes that she's doing because it's all great stuff. And yeah, no regrets. Highly, highly recommend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.